Did you know that War Thunder is a class-based shooter? Well, okay, not really, but War Thunder still has various types of tank classes for you to play around with. Fast, ready gremlins, armored hell beasts that strike fear and dread at every player that faces them, skilled, patient, and methodical backliners, and jack of all trades. Today, we'll go over every single one, what they do best and bad, what you need for them to function properly, and how to go around playing them in the first place. I think we've got that out of the way. Let's start with the first type of vehicle. Reconnaissance tanks are the ratty little gremlins you frequently see in battle. They have the active scouting ability and the ability to spawn UAV drones, albeit the latter only being seen at higher tiers. Their job is to infiltrate enemy lines and stay out of the lines of enemy fire, marking targets or teammates and taking care of pesky targets, such as problematic snipers further back or heavy tanks steamrolling their team. Scouting is an ability light tanks get where they can designate targets for their team. If a target you've scouted gets hit or is destroyed, you get a message pop up and an assist. If you have the airstrike modification unlocked, Scout Assist decreases the amount of spawn points required to spawn in a plane. At higher tiers, you also get access to UAV drones, unmanned drones you can launch to cover more ground. As for how to actually play them, you'll need tanks that offer heavy emphasis on speed. A nice penetrating round with some destructive damage can also help. More often than not, however, you won't need armor, as the entire point of Reconnaissance Tanks is not getting hit in the first place. Examples of tanks like these are the M18 Hellcats, concept free, das wäre Panzerwagen 7,5 cm von Fahrzeug 234 via Panzerkanonenwagen. The entire point of Recon tanks is to avoid enemy fire, and so you have to find good flanking routes to boot. Flanks are areas in lanes that next to no enemies touch. Each map and battle is easily divided into 3 types of quadrants: the front lines, back lines, and the flanks. Keep in mind, these can change based on the location of friendly and enemy tanks in each team's map control. Your job is to take the flanks around the main center of conflict, picking off enemy tanks you can find, preferably by shooting their sides or behinds. Now, all you need to do is simply scout all targets for your team and shoot at the weak, vulnerable side armor of tanks. Usually shooting anywhere in the side armor works, though there may be instances where you want to shoot for certain spots. Examples for these are the turret to take out its crew and or the breach first, the front and or back of the hull to immobilize the tank by forcibly removing either its driver or its engine, or places where ammo is frequently stored, such as on the hull sides of Tigers and Panthers. Remember what I said earlier in the Reconnaissance Tank section about vehicles that fight on the front lines? Yeah, we should probably go over them. Welcome to the Spearhead Tanks. Spearhead tanks are the brick wall equivalent of a tank, a moving pillbox. The reason why your team's frontline is barely a tank. They're meant to be the bullet sponges that take the hits, so armor is of priority. Firepower is also very nice to have, for you're most often than not facing the strong frontal armor of enemy tanks as well. However, mobility isn't much of a concern since you aren't going to many places anyways. Examples of Spearhead tanks are KV and IS tanks, Tigers and Panthers, and Churchills. Do note that while Spearhead tanks are often very strong armor-wise, you can't just go out into the open field willy-nilly and expect to not die. Weak spots still exist on your tank, so make sure to take advantage of angling to improve your effective armor thickness by making enemy shells go through effectively more armor, and making use of the only true impenetrable armor in War Thunder: rocks, houses, buildings, and objects that shells can't go through. One thing you should also be aware of in Spearhead tank are the front lines. Sun Tzu once said that warfare is like water, retaining no permanent shape and always changing. The same is true in War Thunder. Periodically do checks of your surroundings and your map for enemy positions and where they could approach from. Gaps in friendly lines, capture points controlled by the enemy, friendly pings on a designated grid square are all telltale signs that the enemy may or may not have map control over that certain area and are keen on taking advantage of it. Always be aware of your flanks and environment, lest you be shot by a tank you were prepared to fight or didn't see. That reminds me, you ever died to a tank you couldn't see? Most often than not, they're shooting at you from a long range, and that's exactly what our here snipers do. Snipers are the only socially acceptable campers of any PvP game. They almost always emphasize firepower over anything, high velocity rounds penetrating lots over long distances. Armor is also good to help tank a few shots here and there, but isn't as needed as seen on vehicles such as the Beretta, Yak-10, and so on. Mobility isn't much of a concern, however, as you aren't exactly moving from place to place. Examples of great sniping tanks are the German tank destroyers, the Soviet Firefly, the M46 Jackson, so on and so forth. There isn't much to say about sniping. You'll find a spot that has a good line of sight over an area people often go to or through, such as an open field, and watch it. If someone moves, kill it. It can be helpful to learn how to range find distances with your eyeball Mark 1s in this scenario, but what you can also do is range find objects, the ground, and the unfortunate burning pile of scrap roughly near where people pass by to prepare an accurate range reading early enough for the next unfortunate soul that passes by. And you might be thinking, Allusions, this is great and all, but is there a tank that can do all three at the same time? And to that, I say yes. Enter the Jack of all trades. A Jack of all trades tank is the most thankless tank playstyle in War Thunder. Compared to the previous three, all usually leaning to one side on the scale and neglecting another side, the Jack of all trades tanks tend to be more perfectly balanced. They have a good mix of speed and armor with a gun that's just good enough to take out targets in the faces. Golden examples of these are the Sherman, T-34, and to an extent, the Panzer IVs. Jack of all trades tanks can do a little bit of everything, as the name suggests. They can do flanking duty with their mobility, snipe to an extent with a decent cannon, and take a couple hits here and there. They're better for one other thing though, and that's support duty. To boot, you'll probably need a friend to do this. Randoms work fine, but you can coordinate with them as well. Either you or your friend get in a heavy tank and become a bullet sponge, while the others in a support tank, hiding behind the heavy tank. The heavy tank will take the hits and divert enemy attention, while the support tank peeks out periodically from behind and uses their often superior cannon to take out foes. If needed, the support tank can even detach to take control of a sector that's ahead of the heavy tank and the like. And that should cover the 4 basics. If you ever need any help, don't be afraid to ask for help in the comments. And if you want to see another video be released by the time the heat death of the universe occurs, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps boost this video to people's algorithms. Take care.